got going on. But I need that to be a little bit lower, please. Keep going.
An Atlanta resident. I came here on this journey. This is the free her moment. I came here on this journey married, happy, and pregnant. And I'm leaving as Dejanay. So I wrote Free Life. So this story. So I got here and I was married and I was like, oh, we cute. Like, you know, we the bomb. We look good on paper. We look good in the bank. I was cute pregnant. Like, it is what it is. Like, you can't tell me nothing. And we escaped and I thought I was doing something because I was like, okay, like, ain't nobody else leaving the state by themselves. Like, we doing this. We got this nice house. And I got here and I realized that I had an event marriage. And when I say about an event marriage is that when we got together, we were always going to events. We were always going to baby showers and birthday parties and friends were coming over. And then when we got here, I realized I didn't even like the person he was. And it had a lot to do with me. So I went through the journey, and of course, you know, we're taught, I'm raised in a household where everybody was ministers, everybody was pastors. So it was like, you know, what happens in our house stays in our house. But what happens in your house when hurt is in your house? So do I stay hurt? So for about 2 years, I think this is when we met. I was going places and I was still smiling, still trying to make my marriage perfect, and I could not pinpoint what it was. In 2019, right before I was going to deliver Layla, which she was really a beautiful baby, guys, I found out that my husband struggled with homosexuality. And I did not understand. So what I did was I internalized it and I thought it was me. So I was like, is it because I don't cook? Because y'all know I don't cook. Is it my husband dealt with homosexuality? And then that same, this is your journey. And I wrote this, I'll never forget this day. I was in the room and I was crying and I was like, well, why don't I see any examples for what I'm going through? You know, people that lose babies is like, oh, we lost a baby and it's a community. Or like you are in a marriage, but I didn't see any close examples. And I never forget, God had told me like, sis, because this is your journey. So it's like, you're not weird, you're not out of place. Your journey is created for you. We may have the same voice, but your audience is going to affect different people than what mine is. And when you realize that no two situations are alike, then that's more of like a healing thing. Like, you know what, I'm going through what I'm going through because there are people that's assigned to me. And when I think about people that are assigned to me now, I think about all the years that I spent trying to make people understand me. And it's so simple as like the people that are assigned to you will understand, like, you know what, she like a lot of sugar in her iced tea because it's just good and you don't have to keep explaining, oh my God, I'm gonna put a lot of sugar in this iced tea because it's good and I like it. Your people are gonna understand who you are. They're gonna understand your journey and you're not gonna have to force people to understand who is called to you. Do you have any questions for me? Please ask questions.
Girl, I was just listening. You had already been married for 2 years?
I had been married. So Friday, we would have been married 8 years.
So when did you find out that he was dealing with this?
So this is so weird. So you know how things is supposed to be revealed? I was so stupid. So I kind of figured he was already cheating because, I mean, it was stuff that was happening. Like, I would find stuff. I would come home to stuff. Whatever. It was this one day, and it was meant for me to know. I got a phone call. We was in the midst of an argument. My phone rang, and it was like, "Is that him?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it was like the person that told me. She was like, "Don't take this argument personal." So I'm like, "Don't take it personal." Like, I don't know what that means. So she was like, "Give me the phone." So she took the phone to him and gave it back to me. She was like, "Listen, he's gonna apologize in 30 minutes. To you." She was like, when he apologizes, call me. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. He apologized. He was like, you know, I'm sorry. It was a blanket apology. So I'm thinking maybe for him hollering at me for not washing the dishes or not cooking today. So I'm thinking he was just apologizing just for the season we were in. And when I had to go to Walmart. So I'm not crying today, okay, guys? This is not what we're going to do. So I went to Walmart and I called the young lady back and she was like, how do you feel? And I was like, you know, I'm cool. Like, he apologized. She was like, wait, what did he say? And I was like, he apologized for being mean and stuff. She was like, do you want me to tell you? I was like, yes. So she goes, he's gay and he doesn't want to be married. So immediately I'm churched. So I'm like, and church will screw, let me tell y'all something. I'm a believer of church. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have your own relationship and not a religion background, it will screw you up. Ask me how I know. Okay? So I went into church mood. Like, this was a Saturday night. We went to church. I shouted and stuff because he ain't going to be like this. Like, I was in church shouting and crying. Like, we're going to praise this thing out of him. Like, I don't know. People was like, go put oil on his clothes, on the side of the bed. I was like, listen, this is what we're going to do. You're going to be all right. And the more I started doing that, it was more like I put on a mask. And it was the mask of like, I didn't know who knew, even though nobody knew. So I started walking around extra defensive. Like, he all right. Like, we started doing more pictures on social media. We was looking nice. And I was coding what he was going through. Instead of allowing him to really express, I think I internalized it. That's the only thing I can think of. I thought it was me. So I started losing weight and I started getting cookbooks. And I started, instead of really asking God, like, show me the root. And it was crazy because I felt like the whole time I was really afraid to pray to God to reveal to me what it was. When he revealed it, actually what had happened, things started to fall in place. And it went back to a conversation. I was like, God, show me so that I can help him because he's still a soul. Mm-hmm. And it went back to a conversation I had with his mom a while ago. And I was like, ding, ding, that's what it was. This is where it started. So I started treating him as if, like, we're going to talk about this to get it. He didn't want it. Long story short, he was in denial. And then the more he was in denial, the more I would get phone calls. Like, I would get a phone call and was like, girl, let me tell you, my friend just called me and said that he was talking to your husband online. And said that they're going to meet up. So things started happening like that. And I was like, okay, God, like, what am I going to do? Because I was a loyal one. But we are really in a bad state. I was very disappointed because he was someone I had been with since high school. And I don't know what happened. I think I expected as a female for him to be my friend after this. Because when I finally divorced him, I was okay. I was like, you know what? You're going to live your life. We're going to be all right. We good. And I didn't know that in the divorce, he was afraid of what I would tell. And I started praying like, God, allow him, because I'm free. Allow him to go through stages where he can be free, because he's still in church. He's still a minister in church. He's still, like, nothing happens, but and it's made him mean. We don't get along, which hurts. But it's okay. It's okay. It's really, really, really okay, because I'm free. And I would rather be free than bound any day. Really, the shots. I did not think that I was going to lose Layla. I thought I didn't want to have a little girl because I knew what I was and what I was to my mom. I really prayed for a little boy. And I think that I'm fine. I tell people that all the time. As I mentioned earlier, when Layla came and she was born, she passed away immediately. Like, the doctor was like, okay, we need to test her because we don't know what was wrong. Like, we don't know what happened. And I really feel like that was God's sign of, like, you will be able to produce, just not in this situation. Because I look at people that have babies and they have divorces, and it makes them stay longer. It makes them deal with longer. And I know I never wanted to be a single mother. So I really feel like Layla is really, I use her as a symbol of a cry for help. So when I think of Layla, I think of help. Like, oh my God, help me. Like, here I am. Like, does somebody see me? And maybe you'll see that I'm going through a baby and you'll ask me questions and I'll be able to open up. So that's how I deal, and I tell people that all the time. One of the greatest lessons that I learned with going through Layla, when Layla passed away, was people are not obligated to be there for you. Even though we're there for people, there's nowhere that it says that they have to be there for you. And I went through like a hurt thing, because the friends that I was there when your mom died, your dad died, I took off work going to funerals and being there with you sick. They were the same people that was like, we didn't have nothing to say. And then my response was like, well, I didn't have nothing to say to you neither when you were going through. And that was like a wake up call to me to like take the expectation off of people, because people will never be who you are. Be honest. I did a video on Facebook a few weeks ago, and it was called "Say It Ain't So." And I feel like when you say it is so is when reality hits in. So the moment you keep saying it ain't so, this ain't happened, this ain't what it really is, this is just a facade. The moment you say it is so is when your healing begins. Already. Those are things you work with. Cheating should not be one. And I tried it, and I think a lot of my friends, this is so weird to say, I hope you ladies are okay with this when I say this. A lot of my friends was like, oh girl, I've been cheated on, that's it? That's all you leaving them for is for cheating? That's it? That's it? And it's like, do you not value who you are? That you don't think God would send you somebody that would love you regardless? That won't have to step out? That won't see somebody else? That won't have a wandering eye? That won't love somebody else or be, and as they say, in the moment? Men cheat in the moment. You don't think that you're worthy enough and suffered enough for God to send you somebody that is all about you to do every transition of your life? If you don't think that you're that valuable, yes, you'll accept less. That's not something that we should accept. So if you're thinking about divorce, yes, at all costs, do all the therapy. But therapy is only so much if you don't communicate. If you don't communicate, if you're not willing to compromise, you can't be the only one in the situation changing. Yeah. I'm not changing myself for you to still be regular. No, like, where's your change? Where's your let go? But that's divorce with anything. I tell people that all the time. That's divorce from habits, addictions, and dealing with grief. Like, grief, one thing I learned going through my divorce was that divorce was another form of grief. Transition was another form of grief. I woke up crying this morning about a transition that is happening because you don't know the unknown. So that's what I would say. Go. Whatever you feel, trust your gut. Trust the inner you, that you won't make a decision that would damage you. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to love you and treat you like you value and love yourself. And that is so true.
Yeah. So I started the Road to Joy and Peace for Women about 7 years ago. Maybe 7 years ago. I was in a abusive relationship. And I was in it and I was silent for a very, oh Jesus Lord. Give me a second.
That's okay.
It's my kids. I lost my peace. I lost my joy. I wasn't me. I'm gonna get through this. So, it was bad. So I won't say that he beat me. We had fights, but it was more emotional and mental. And for me, that's worse. For me personally, because scars heal. But mentally, it takes a lot to get over somebody beating you and beating you and beating you. And then I felt bad because I felt like I wasn't a good mother because I allowed that, and they watched it. And I have girls, my one son that y'all seen run through here. But to me, it damaged the girls more. My son was a little younger. My son didn't really recognize it as the girls did, and it's different. Girls look to you and they look to their dad for confidence and just love, and it wasn't their father, it was another man, and it was just bad. It was really bad. I remember a time he threw a 2-liter bottle of soda at my face, and I saw me changing in that relationship. I became evil, I became violent, I was just a mean person, and I'm laughing and let's party and hey, you want a shot of tequila? But I was so down and so not myself and embarrassed because I had friends that went through different things, and I was the friend they could come to, and I would, let's fight them. What you want to do? Because we not standing nothing that's abusive. And then I walked myself right into it. He was an alcoholic. I knew that kind of early on. I'll say maybe like 30 days. I had to check him into a hospital. 30 days of knowing him, I was the person who had to say live or die. He didn't have a good relationship with his mother. Sarah, she told me, go in the bathroom, scream it out, cry it out, and then move forward. Because if you keep holding it in, you're going to explode, and I know your rage is not going to look well. He was in the hospital for about 2 weeks. I was there every day. He cussed me out every day. Every day he cussed me out. I cleaned him. I fed him. I was the person that held his hand when they took the feeding tube out. I was torturing myself at one point because God had already showed me all I wanted to do was get him to that hospital and then leave him there. My thing is that I work on for myself is, and I had to be honest, I try to be God to people. I sort of think I enjoy people looking for me to help them because I am a natural giver. I'm a natural, hey, what do you need? Oh no, I can help. But I do that to the detriment of myself and then that person, because they're not getting whatever lesson it is that God wants for them to get, and then I'm overstepping and playing God, and I ain't. Far from it. So I was in that relationship. We broke up eventually on my daughter's birthday, May 25th. For a very long time, he haunted me. I still didn't have my joy and my peace automatically. It still took me some time. And I remember going to church because while he was with me, he got saved. And I told my pastor, I said, I'm telling you, I believe when he got saved, every demon that was on him attached itself to me. And he said, you know what? Probably so, because your soul is fighting and trying to walk and be with the Lord, but his demons are they something special, and so they're attaching themselves to you. So I had to really fast and really pray and kind of remove myself from my normal, which was my friends, because I have great friends, and they, if I would have said, they would have helped. But I was sanctuary, I sang praise and worship, and I was up there singing, and he walked in my church, and I was pissed. I think I was so mad at God, like, this is my peace, and you allowed this devil to come in, and I'm singing, so you can't, you want to run off, but you can't. So I'm like, God, you've got to be kidding me. And we went to do, I was giving my tithes, and he was walking, and I was walking. He said, hi, give me a hug. But it was so weird. I felt like I didn't even have the option to say no, because everybody's looking at you, and they're like, oh, let's just see how she's going to react. And I said, you've got to be kidding me, God. I gave him a little hug, and that wasn't enough. That's all you can give me? I felt abused all over again. I felt attacked, and like, my sanctuary, you still coming to bother me in my place of peace. I remember one time we was at like a night service. I'm falling out crying about different things. He came and got on top of me. I couldn't even worship God on my own without, in my mind, still feeling abused, because you took my peace that I'm talking to God, and you made it about you. You drunk. You coming and you laying on me, and then you got me when you leave, I got to answer. You know what I'm saying? Like, to people like, girl, everything okay? Because I smelled the liquor. And I'm like, oh, Lord, now I got to be, oh, no, he probably had some scope or something. You got to lie, but then you lying in church. But my bishop and my spiritual mother knew. They knew everything, and she was looking like, I told you, if you don't leave, he going to be fine. God going to save him. You gonna lose you. And I said that always stuck with me, because that's what was happening. I'm still falling deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole. Not happy, yelling at these kids, frustrated, don't know which way to go. And I really don't think I actually was better until I left their father when I came to Georgia. So I moved to Georgia with my daughter's father, who had wanted to get back to me for 10 years, and I was so against it. But people kept saying, well, he chased you for 10 years. Go ahead, and he's a great guy. He loves you. Okay, whatever. I moved to Georgia, and it was the best and worst decision of my life. It was the best for me. Like, it was the best for me career-wise. I think I'm where I'm supposed to be, but I went through hell before I got to here. I was 20 shades lighter when I lived with him, because I never got to go outside. I had no car. I had no money. I had no job. I have no family. I have no friends down here. You isolated me to leave me. You isolated me. You got me and the babies here. My kids never had a bed. Never had a bed living with him. They didn't have a bed. I got him a TV. I paid the water bill. He pays all the bills. And that's what I was told by a friend. Like you said, I said, he's cheating again. Girl, if all he doing is cheating and he paying all the bills, you should be fine. No, that's not my happiness. That's not my happiness. Is tearing my kids up, whether they, say it or not. Your children, you can see what they're going through, and I just wasn't happy. I'm like, why am I here? If this was the case, because we were actually great friends, separate, But to come back, I came back to what I knew at 21, and we going on 40. Like, you didn't change anything. I mean, in his mind, I guess he feels like, I grew up and I wanted the family. You didn't want a family. He, during COVID, never stayed in the house. Not one day. Not one day. So you're going out, he works, you're going out, you're working, but then after you're working, you're partying. You are keeping me and these kids, and you're putting us in a position where if you get sick, you know I got a child that got a weak immune system. She gonna have to go to the hospital. But you gonna keep doing whatever you wanna do. You gonna keep screwing whoever you wanna screw. And I had to say to myself, girl, what you gonna do? Family or no family, you doing it. It's like I looked at myself and said, oh shit, I'm doing it again. I mean, he never beat me. We really didn't argue because wasn't there enough to argue with me. He was gone. But I still felt abused because I felt neglected. You still made me feel like outside of me, you ain't got nothing. So you gonna stay and you gonna take whatever it is I give you. And that's unfair. So I went to sleep. I was doing makeup. Eventually I was already doing makeup, but then I actually got clients that would come consistently, like yourself and different people. And I said, okay, I'm gonna figure it out. He didn't come home one day. I got in the car the next morning to go get some supplies for something. It's makeup, cheap makeup at that. It said Big Lots, lip gloss from Big Lots, foundation from Big Lots. And I was like, dang, and then you got a girlfriend to do makeup, but you gonna go and play with this girl, but whatever. I asked him, he told me, I can do whatever I want because I pay all the bills. So I said, that's it. That's it for me. I went to sleep. His ex-girlfriend is a really close friend of mine. I said, I think I'm gonna leave because this isn't working out. She said, well, pray on it. I went to sleep. And for me, God talks to me in my sleep. He gives me visions. He gave me the gift of discernment, and he speaks to me in my sleep. And so he said, guess what? You're going to ask him, do he want to be with you? Be prepared for this hurt because he going to say no. What you going to do? I said, no problem. Whatever. He came in like a regular day. Trust and believe, I know he was out there sexing because you know your guy. And then he wanted to have sex with me. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. So I asked him, I said, do you still want to be with me? No, I don't. And that's it. He said exactly what God said he would say. He said it how he said it. Then he told me, and the only thing you're going to do is take you and the babies and go back to your mother in Baltimore. And I said, no, that's not going to work. You don't know me. You remember me at 21. And even at 21, in my opinion, I was always strong, but you never really got to know me. So you never really knew what I was capable of. And I said, no. Well, I said something hurtful. I won't repeat it. But then I said, no, I'm not. I'm not going back to my mother. I said it in my mind. I stayed up all night. He yelled. He fussed. My kids were crying. And that still didn't trigger him. Because I would think, if you hear your kids crying, you'd be quiet it down. Shut up a little bit. Nope. He went to sleep peaceful. I was restless. Sitting in the living room looking dumb as hell. He slept like a baby. Got up. Went to work. Ain't say nothing to me. I said, okay, I'm on the computer. I asked my girlfriend Tamika, thank God for her. I said, come get me. Because if you don't get me now, I'm going to be in jail. Because the fact that, for me, I don't like nonchalant people. It didn't matter to him. It didn't matter what he said to me. It didn't matter how he hurt me, how he hurt these kids. He going to continue to live life how he wanted to live life. She came and got me, and I never looked back. God told me, I stayed in a hotel, for people that don't know, for 40 days. God told me, he going to need you before you need him. He left. He did his thing. He had a woman. They had, a little 40-day little thing, whatever they had going on. Something happened. And he called me and said, I'm not with such and such no more. Can I come over? Can I stay here? I don't have nowhere to go. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. In this 40 days that I was in this hotel, he paid nothing. And it ain't just me in the hotel, it's me and the kids. And nope, you paid nothing. I said, sure. I let him stay one night. And God said, I told you. He gonna always need you before you need him. Now tell him to go. Tell him to go. He got that one night just so he can understand you didn't break me. Me and these kids will be just fine eventually. And I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna keep moving forward. You gonna always suffer because you, in my opinion, a man that don't do right by his kids, you ain't gonna, you look like you being blessed. Cause if I said who he was, he does look like he's being blessed. He gets to go to movie premieres, he's in movies, he's doing this. Bless your heart, but I know deep down inside your soul is in torment. It's in torment that if you go on my page, you see another man being a father to your children, who enjoys it, who loves it, don't complain about it. But that's what you should have been doing. So I had to say to myself, hey, did you get your joy and peace back? Because I did it so gracefully. Like, I wasn't mad at him. I was okay. I was more hurt for the babies. But me, myself, I was ready to go. Once he said what he said, I said, that's it. That's it for me. I'm happy. I never was angry with him. I wasn't mean to him. He could, well, not to this day. He can't call me now because something else didn't happen. But in the beginning, he could call me, and I was always helpful to him because I understand a person being hurt. He is truly, truly hurt. I know where he came from. I know his story, so I understand his pain. But your pain shouldn't have, blood, because he didn't heal, he didn't do nothing but bleed out on me. And that was unfair. You bleeding out on these kids. And then the way the world is going, like, man, today or tomorrow he could die. Or today or tomorrow I could die. These kids would die. And you ain't get to talk to nobody. You don't get to see them, growing and stuff. That don't bother you. But God said, hey, girl, you don't go back to what it was you used to do. You can't be God to him. Let him figure it out. He'll come to God if he do. If he don't, Jesus, I know you. So I'm more concerned for myself and these kids. And so that's why I did the Road to Joy and Peace for Women. It started out as just a Facebook page, but then I was like, God was like, no, you should talk. We're going to teach you how to talk, because I'm a little bit of a thug, so it might come out like, rah, rah. But as time goes on, it'll get better. But I'm authentically me. So I just feel like people gravitate to me because I am who I am. I can't sugarcoat it. Just know I'm thug, but Jesus is the head of my life. But I am in a transition. Even with this was something just stressful. And maybe a handful, maybe 3, know how stressful. And I just shared to you how stressful it could be. It's just like, before I got here, I was in a transitional housing. Great place. It could have been a great place. It's a good, not mice, rats. Tore my couch up. Just, I didn't tell you that. Yes, baby, rats. I'm talking about big New York rats just ripping and running, pooping and scratching and tearing stuff up. Like I was telling Tashawn, I got PTSD. Like, no joke, no lie. I have PTSD. If I hear scratching, it could be anything, child. The kid could have put a toothbrush on the wall, anything, and I'm like, oh, and they like, you thought it was a rat? Yes, I literally had PTSD. That traumatized me. But God said, you asked me for something. I'm going to give you what you asked for. It may not look like what you wanted to look like, but it is what you asked for, and we're going to work it out. And I do believe, for me, I did get my joy and my peace back. Thank you, Jesus. And I'm never going to lose it. Like, I don't think I lost it. I think once I found it after the alcoholic, that's what helped me transition from their father gracefully. Because otherwise, if it was the old me, it probably wouldn't have went that way.
Okay.
But it was gracefully. It was peaceful. I'm like, all right, whatever. I really, truly, I think I did him a disservice. And I had to be honest because I did not love him. I did not love him. I didn't want to be with him. I think I just did it just so I wouldn't be alone. And people thought, it's going to work. He's the father of your kids. It's been 10 years. Child, he was chasing me for 10 years to cheat on me and neglect me. He didn't really want me. I think he wanted the idea to say, no, I got the kids down here. They all, no, boy, no. But that's why I started. And I pray to God I keep doing it. I do believe my ministry is women, especially single mothers, because I know how hard it can be, how challenging. Kids go through a lot. And whether you shelter them and don't have them around people that you date, that's not always the best, because I know people going through that now. Or if you have them around everybody, that's terrible too. It's like we trying to figure it out. We all just trying to figure out what's the best way to go and how we can go about it. But that's it, guys. Y'all can ask us questions if you got any questions.
The woman who you said told you, who was she?
That's what my question.
Yeah.
So she was a mutual friend. So it was weird that he would even have contacted her, because she was a mutual friend. She was my friend and became a mutual friend through it. And I was really like, literally New Year's of this year, 2022? Yes, going from 2021 to 2022. I stopped talking to her after that day because the stories didn't add up. What she told me wasn't what he confessed to. So I just left her. I was loyal. I knew I was a wife. I knew how to cover, protect, love, all that. So I was like, okay, so what you seeing is different from what's coming out of the guy I vowed to. So I cut her off. New Year's night, I reached out to her. I said, I'm finally ready to hear. She sent me messages to confirm, because you still get a divorce. I don't know if anybody's been divorced in here. You get divorced, but you still have that, like, to me, I was afraid that he was gonna move on, because he has never came out. So I was afraid what he gonna do is he gonna move on and he gonna become the man I wanted him to be, and I was gonna be stuck, still healing. But after she told me all this stuff and sent me the messages, like, she recorded, like, they had been having talks for weeks, and she gave him an ultimatum, like, okay, I'm giving you 30 days to tell my friend. And it was those 30 days that she called, because he hadn't told me, that she told me she had receipts. Going through the stuff that she had, I don't have no regrets. I have more regrets of God. Now, my new friend, see, it takes a place when you was talking. I thought about what you just said about, like, how you're healed and stuff. The heal you attracts. Like, when you're healed and you're full, like, you own, like, I'm a believer. When I went through, and this is something y'all can always share, you always meet yourself. So wherever state you're in, you wonder why I would smoke weed. Why do I keep running into people that smoke weed? I drink. Why do I keep being around people that struggle with drinking? And when I got healed and I started attracting healed people, my life changed, because now I'm only meeting me. I'm meeting a healed version of me. And I thought about that with your friend. Like, it took me a while, because I wasn't going to date. I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. Yeah. The healed Dejanay has met a healed version of someone else that doesn't compare to the 16 years I was dating a man. Like, I mean, it is a man. Dating my ex-husband.
About the cheating, and you said being where you are now, healed, understanding that you don't want another person that cheats. My struggle with it is personal, and I'm like, is this like really a reality out here? Like, where are the women that are successful? Where are the happy? You hear all the happy. I'm divorced twice. Where are the happy marriages?
It ain't none.
It's a
Can I?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me tell you, I heard, this is so crazy. So, I speak and do this all the time. I was talking to somebody, and it slipped out. It said, the only happy marriage you see and the only right marriage is the marriage that you're in. Every other relationship is wrong. What people told me that I should do with my husband, put oil, that worked for yours. It didn't work for my household. So, I do believe that there are men out there. For instance, my partner, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind this if this is recorded, he's the opposite. He grew up where the women cheated and the men were faithful. So he watched his dad be faithful. He watched his mom cheat and break up the house. He watched his baby mom cheat and hurt him. So in retaliation, he always thought, well, all women cheat because this was my hurt. So I say that to say it's really the perspective. Honestly, it's what you demand also. Like, he know with me, what you doing? Because this is what we not doing. Because what I'm not doing. But also I think that he knows I will leave quicker now. I'm not saying I'm one and done now. The moment I feel out of place, or I don't feel, or I'm questioning who I am, or I got to question my reality or my mindset, it means that it's not meant for me to be there. So that's what I say. I definitely say there is somebody out there. I promise you. There is men. And I can't even say I got the perfect one, because I just told y'all what he struggled with. So it's a process, going through the process. But watching him, it's I think, but you got to think also, like my grandmother. My grandmother is really saved. She was married for 50 years. When I went to her about my ex-husband, her exact words was, baby, don't you know your grandfather had these kids on me? And I looked at her, but times is different. Because you needed him. I don't need him. I got a good job. I can handle things on my own. They needed that then. So men, I honestly really feel like, I don't know what is in their mind that make them, Oprah says that it's an ego trip. To make them feel like they still got it. Might get with the next one and be completely faithful, completely on track. And that's just what I believe. So don't look at it as this is a reality. It's our perspective of our reality. Because we're only tuned into who we follow on social media. But it's so much more of the world around our little. It's like somebody said, if you never stepped foot in the lake, you would never know it was an ocean. So if you have to broaden. So, our reality looks like all men cheat. There is a whole area of men that we ain't even thought about. We can't even fathom about that.
No,
Don't we?
to piggyback off, you know, and I was divorced in 2007, so I'm 50 years old. I don't know how anybody. So I've been through the ringer, right? So my heart was about as black as our black shirts against men, black men especially. However, I had to develop a relationship with God first and ask Him to guide me into what He wanted me next. So many of us women, I was always a relationship person. I wanted to be married. I knew from this, I wanted to be a mother. I wanted to have a family. I had a notebook. That's how I was planned out. Like my life was planned out, literally. Anybody tell you, Trinetta had her life planned out. However, life hit. And so after my divorce, I was mad with God because I was a church girl. I'm like, okay, I'm doing everything right. Got the big house, all of this stuff similar to you. But when it happened, my relationship with God was on the brink. I was like, I'm not praying anymore. I'm not going to church, X, Y, and Z. So long story short, God had to show me, you can't get into any relationship until you know who you are and what I want for you. Because so many times, God never said we had to marry. That's something man put on us. Like you have to be a female, you have to get married, you have to have children. He never said that. So many times we're afraid to ask God, what is it that you want from me? Marriage is challenging and is a ministry because God is going to place you with somebody that you need and He needs as well. And a lot of us don't want to face that. So when I stayed divorced for almost 10 years, I stayed celibate for those 8 to 10 years because God had to renew me and had to cleanse me because my prayer after He took me through, I said, Lord, I do want to remarry. I want to do this thing right, you know.
Well, it's actually, it's not anymore, but it was Ebony's birthday.
She 40 shorty.
I know we got about 12 singers.
Be quiet.
I know we got about 12 of them, so if y'all want to do a 1-2 for my girl, we can.
Happy birthday.
No.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.